guess he's waiting for you. Good afternoon, my villagers. How are you all today? Question I always ask and always kind of know what the answer would be. But I tell you, we're going to get through this stuff that's going on in our neck of the wood, in our village. I'm going to be the guest today. So actually, I'm supposed to be on the other side. And we're going to do that little switcheroo in a minute. But right now, I just want to, while I'm here, I'm going to thank my team. I'm going to thank Sheila. We're going to thank Juanita. And, of course, my promo crew. Of course, Tony, he's the one that sends these clippings in. We thank him for that. And of course, we got a new member now. Co-producer, his name is James Spears, so you'll be hearing about him. And, of course, I told you about Sheila. We're going to always thank her. And we thank our engineer. I call him Stormy Norm. And that's what he is to us because he does everything and keep us just so real around here. But right now, guess what? I'm going to be your guest today, and my co-host will be the interviewer. So we're going to do a little switching right here very quickly. I'm going to get to her chair, and she'll get to mine so we can make this real.
Good afternoon, my villagers. Our villagers, really. I can't really sit in this chair and do it justice, I'll tell you right now. However, I'm going to do my best.
We read her bio last week, you remember?
No, I'm going to do my best, villagers. A lot of you know her probably better than I do. But she is my mentor. She's a powerhouse. I don't have to tell you that. She is a one-man show all by herself. Oh, wow. But she has so many talents. She has contributed so much to the Black experience. I should say past, present, and future. That is what this podcast is all about. And I am very honored to be a part of it. And so today we're going to take a deep dive into Miss Ruby Shivers and find out a little bit more about her start, bit more about her, okay? I'm going to read her bio. And but like I said, most of you've known her for quite some time. But I want you to introduce her as the host today. And so we're going to start there. Miss Ruby Shivers is a graduate of Seton Hall University with a BS degree in communications, continued studies in the Matter of Degree program of education at Montclair State University. She attended graduate school at Rutgers University, which is also one of my earlier alma maters.
Okay.
All right, Rutgers. All right. We're going to, talk about a lot of her books. She's an awesome, awesome author of 5 books and 1 children books. Am I correct?
Yeah.
And another one. There's no stopping this lady. She's a powerhouse. And I couldn't think...
The titles and get right to that.
Okay. And I couldn't think of a better mentor than Miss Ruby Shivers. Her books are Damaged Goods, Made in America, Latest Writings, a pocket-sized book for easy access to immediate questions. In her debut book, Tired, Tribes, Tried, and Trite, and Tasteless Expressions, that keep us damaged. retitled Verbal Healing. She artfully continues a healthy dose. I didn't bring my glasses today, so bear with me. A healthy dose.
You don't have to go through all that.
Oh, okay,
And
okay,
listen to that.
okay. I'm just going to do the book titles and let her tell you the rest. Thank you for being so gracious.
Okay, I
In
need
her
my
second
glasses.
book, Victims of Confusion, in her third book, The Quarters, that's the one I didn't read yet. I want to read that one. And her fourth book, Emotions to Live With. And her fifth book, Why Shouldn't I Cry? Ode to the Black Man. And let us not forget her newly released children's book. That's the newly released one that you can get at Amazon, I do believe, right? I'm enjoying it, and a lot of people are enjoying that book.
I'm glad they are.
Okay.
Glad they
So
are.
she was gracious enough to let me borrow her glasses. Let me see if I can see. Oh yeah. Okay.
I thought it would help.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
the title of her children's book, let me just repeat that, is, if I didn't say it, was What's in a Name? And very enjoyable and educational for children, and something they really do need to understand what's in a name. Ruby, a resident of Plainfield, New Jersey, accomplishments hosted and produced a cable talk show, Youth in Pursuit of Knowledge. For 10 years, co-hosted a scholarship fund in honor of her dad, giving scholarships to seniors in her hometown of Lake Butler, Florida. Founder and president of this Emetrius of the African Culture Awareness Program, ACAP. And we call it ACAP for short. Established at the Mount Tenon AME Tenement Mount Teman AME Church, Elizabeth, New Jersey. Founding member of Women in Support of People,
Of the Million Man March.
Million Man March, hosted a radio show. Now I don't know if I can pronounce this show for the Montague.
Oh, the Monique Danielle.
The Monique Danielle Show, presenting a weekly book review, church, and a member of the senior choir. Yes, you have to give us a sample today of that voice.
Oh, no.
Ruby has received numerous awards for her service and has been written up in newspapers and appeared on talk shows across the country. And she doesn't know she's about to be reintroduced through our church as I try to establish, with the help of God, seniors who we have to
That
look
I
to,
am.
for we stand on their shoulders. So without further ado, I'm going to be quiet, give her back her glasses,
Well, thank you, ma'am. I certainly need them.
because there's so much that I want to know, and I believe, if it's all right with you,
All right with me.
can
wherever
I
you take
start
me.
where you started? I really want to know a little bit more about how you started in this.
Okay.
Okay?
That's the question?
That's the
Okay,
question.
that's the question.
How you got started.
I tell you, I'm excited, y'all, my villagers. I'm excited to be on this side of the aisle because I oftentimes I do what I do because I do what I do. That the question is asking me often, how did you get started? I say, well, I think I started from the time I probably came out of my mom's womb.
Wow.
Because I've always been very curious, always had questions about the whys of things, and not so in depth with all the knowledge that's thrown our way. And particularly as a youngster, you just kind of look and observe and look around and see what's going on. And sometimes you have questions. And when back in my day, you had questions, but you be seen and not heard. That was one of them things that we learned. You be seen and not heard. So even with the questions, I'm always kind of curious as to who would I ask or where would I go with for the answers. So if you ask about the books, that's where they came about. When I began to understand that maybe I was not, didn't get all my answers or couldn't ask the question, first of all, I began to think, well, there must be a way. And in doing so, all of my books, and I'll talk about them individually later, but that's how my writing came about. Just being curious as to the whys of things that I wasn't getting answers for. And in time, I would just put down on paper what my concerns were at the time.
Very good. Very good. So that is how you got your start.
That is basically how I started. I recall as a youngster, I was always sort of shy. I came from a little town called Lake Butler, Florida. It's very country. And at the time, my family, from a large family, 11 of us.
Wow.
Yes. And I was like the quiet one, believe it or not. And in my quietness, though, I had concerns about all the things that was going on around me in that particular time. See, I'm in the, what'd you call it, integration days.
Yes.
And I was there in the midst of the biggest segregation that you can think of in the world. And so we were separate. And being separate, you're living in a different prisons. You're just kind of on one side or the other, and you're wondering, well, why I'm on this side and they were people on that side.
Right.
I can't go to there's black water fountains and white water fountains. So it was a whole, questionable for a young person, particularly for me, who was always curious about things.
Right.
And so with that in mind, I always questioned myself instead of having to question someone else. And having questioned myself, I would always write down some things that I was concerned about. And I was always a reader. I liked to read. I always, I really had a book club before I think I was 6 years old.
Wow.
Someone sending in books to me. And I even, at the time, back in the day, I asked, Roy Wilkins was the head of the NAACP at that time, so you can imagine how old that was. But I thought I was about 16, and I wanted to become part of the NAACP, just to show you how interested I was in trying to get involved with things that would enlighten me as to who I was. So with that in mind, I've always thought that maybe if I put my concerns down in writing, I could get an answer from someone. And that's where the books came about.
Wow. So that did a lot of the inspirational work towards you writing books.
Oh, definitely. Well, I tell you, coming from the kind of environment you could be always inspired to do something. And my inspiration came from the knowledge of what I saw when I saw it. You know, I saw that we as African people was treated differently.
Right. Right.
And unlike many of us who come up with a false knowledge of oneself, I sort of never had that knowledge. I always felt that looking at what I was looking at, and that was the white person on one side and us on the other, I thought we always seemed to present a better frame of reference than them. Even then, I was not impressed with them. I never have been. And I always thought that was because I had a sixth sense of who they really were, you know? And so with that in mind, I write from that perspective. I think I told you that my aim here is a restoration.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
We have been diagnosed, obviously. But I want now for us to know that there's something happened to us, unlike anything else in the annals of history. As a matter of fact, the United Nations just recently came out with that declaration that we were more damaged, not one of the worst, but the very worst damage of any other group in the world.
Right.
So with that in mind, it has to tell us then that we need tending to. It's like any injury. And I often say, you know, that slavery was not just a crime, but an injury.
Right.
And if you inflicted injury on something or someone, you either tend to it or just fester. And with us, we have never been really treated in any serious way. Some of us managed to come through because that's the resiliency of us. That's the greatness of us.
Yes.
But it wasn't because there was any organized plan method. Right. And I always make the comparison of other injuries like cancer. We got oncologists. Like heart disease, we got the cardiologist. You know, that the viruses, you got the epidemiologist.
Yes, yes.
But we have not had that fitted for us. So that's why my show called um, Unapologetic Amateur, looking for experts in Africanology.
And I like that.
And I grabbed that word to put a name to it.
Yes.
'Cause somebody told me in order to cure a thing, you got to name a thing.
Right.
So I figured we got to name it, and so Africanology is just an idea, just a name that will, I guess, encourage us. For those of us who haven't thought of it from that perspective,
Right.
encourage us to think of it as the injury it is.
Right.
And if we think of it as the injury it is, we will know then we need treated. We
Right.
need tending to. And I use these sort of people as reference, but they are not the only one. I always throw out the name of Clarence Thomas. I always throw out the name of Candace Owens. Now they're talking about this.
Tatum. Tatum
right?
Kuhn.
Right? And so they got people like that, but even with our well-meaning people, have not thought of it from that perspective. So sometimes we get carried away with thinking that we are the least of. You know, when we use words like "I'm just as good as they are," that implies something.
Right.
That says that you think they are good and you're trying to reach it.
Right.
So we got to stop, and that's what verbal healing, the one book that I would be talking about.
Yes.
Verbal healing came about from that perspective. When I heard us trying to declare we was as good as, you know, we talk like white folk. What does that mean? We created languages. They didn't know how to talk.
Exactly.
You know? So when we learn to talk the language that is presented in front of us, we speaking like black folks,
Absolutely.
African
Absolutely.
people.
Absolutely.
And I was particularly touched when I was very young. I think it may have been 13 or 14. My church used to send us young people away on a yearly convention, Sunday school convention. At the convention, we was always met with other kids across different other areas of churches. And they always generally came from what we call the city. And we were country bumpkins. So we never thought we could match them because they would have the subjects ready for us for conversation. But when we would get in there, we had to participate because we had to bring our information back to the church to report what went on. This particular day, this particular Sunday, I never had gotten up spoke anywhere because I was basically shy. But this particular Sunday, and of course I'm telling you the time frame we was in, it was very deep segregation. But it was at the period when they were thinking about desegregating.
Oh, okay.
Not integration, but desegregation.
Desegregation.
And I went to this convention that year. And the topic happened to be, again, the topics always came from the kids from the sort of what we call city school. It was Lincoln High School in Gainesville, Florida. That was one of the most top-rated schools. And so the kids from that school would always sort of be responsible for the topic. The topic that particular time was, are we ready for integration?
Wow.
And hear me, little country bumpkin.
What did you say?
I never spoke in my life in front of a group, but it hit me, and something
rose up.
Me. Jolted me into a standing. And I'm asking, are we ready for integration?
Right.
Because I asked the question, what do you mean? And then they started saying, well, we don't know how to eat properly. We don't know how to dress properly.
According to them.
We don't know how to do that. Oh, it was all that. And I said, excuse me. You're talking about we can't match somebody, and I went and listed all they were. Rapists, and stole her from our home.
Yes,
pillagers.
And
And so I heard this clapping. And I looked over, and there was two, I'll never forget, two young ministers. They were twins ministers. They stood up and clapped for me. And that just did something to me because I had never spoken before, didn't know I could. And when I said that, and they made that, and so that's what encouraged me from that point on.
You came into your purpose.
Yeah,
that's
came
what
into
that
my
was.
purpose. To figure out when I hear stuff like that, to try to put it in perspective for other people.
Right.
And so that's what.
And to challenge the negative narrative.
Yeah, definitely.
Because when something isn't right or something's a lie, we have to learn to speak up.
Yeah.
On that note, I want to ask you something. Of all the books that you read, because we got a lot of ground to cover on your books, but I really want to ask you, what was the one book that you read that inspired you to give you that drive to become that radical individual that you needed to come to?
That's a good question. I don't know if it was a book. I can't think of a book. I was reading all kinds of books at the time.
Was it an experience?
But it was the experience
Okay.
of my interaction with the people that I interacted with. That
Okay.
were white folk, black folk. Talk about the quarters in one of my books.
Right.
Old folks in the quarters. It was a series of things that went that I
Inspired
experienced
right.
through my experiences in the Deep South.
Okay.
And of course, didn't leave me when I came here, because it was still up south, as Malcolm X used to say.
Okay.
So the experience I had with a group of other people called white folk that separated us from the crowd of people and put us in a category that we sometimes accepted as reality.
Right, absolutely.
But it was through their lens, through their prism, how they categorized us and made us see ourselves.
And you knew better.
I knew better. That's what is verbal healing. My first book came about because we have the expressions that we will use against ourselves, like at that convention when you said we are not ready we cannot speak like them and we cannot dress like them. I'm saying, who said so? We dress better. We are the one dress them.
Actually, you were ahead of your time in your thinking and your perception.
Right. And so when I wrote Verbal Healing, I had begun to hear us, African people, say, well, we don't stick together. We are worst enemy.
Yeah, I know.
We are that. And I'm saying, my
I
word.
know, it's sad.
You know?
It's sad.
And as a youngster, it bothered me to the point that I didn't see any rebuttal to that.
Right.
And so I said, well, let me find out how I can maybe put something together that will make somebody think. See, I'm not a Rhodes Scholar, don't have any letters behind my name, but I hadn't heard any of those that had the letters behind the name
doing
at the
anything.
time doing anything. So I said, well, let me put this down, and maybe some of them will, But then later on, I read so many great experts of ours, so many great people who have done things. But to the extent of verbal healing sort of talks about those expressions that we use and sort of suggests that we rethink what we're saying, because we mean no harm, obviously. It's just that we have been brainwashed, and as one of my good friends, Dr. Calfani, would say, brain dirted. He said, no, they ain't washed no brain, they dirted the brain. Now we got to wash the brain.
Right. Because a lot of those words and expressions that we take second nature, like the N-word, to mean it as some sort of
word of endearment.
Yeah,
and
it's nefarious.
How can that be a word of endearment?
Right.
When you are. If you read anything, or if you visualize, if you heard of how your foreparents, your ancestors, usually the last word they heard when they were being hanged, last word they heard when the mothers were being raped, last word they heard when you were being burned at the stake. So how can that ever become a word of endearment? So those are the kinds of things that I put in my book to give a person who may be reading it, and hopefully they do, that will give them some second thought about certain things that they're saying about themselves, that they know that they didn't create. It was done upon us, put upon us, and we accept it. And we got to get away from accepting everything we hear about ourselves.
Well, that being said, let's get to it. Which book did you do first?
My first book was Verbal Healing.
And that came out of your experiences and
exactly.
The things that you
and the
read.
name, though, I gave it was We Must Reject Tired, Trite, Tasteless, and other nonsensical expressions that keep us damaged.
Right.
But I tell you, at the time, I'm much younger, I was going around on interviews. I was all over the place. And by the time I finished with the explaining the name, my time was up, because you don't have a whole lot of time on TV and places like that. So I had to change the name, and when I changed the name, it was to Verbal Healing. So that's the
and then you
official
explained,
name. Yeah, that's the official name now, Verbal Healing.
The intent of the book.
But it means the same thing.
Yeah, and it's a very good book. I wish you would update it, meaning there's more to be added.
Yeah, yeah.
Because these generations have added things. They have a language now or a code I don't even understand.
Well,
you know,
that's because they've taken our first of all, they've taken our books and things out of the library, and never had them in our classroom, and to the extent that much of what our young people don't know is because they have not been privy to even the writings that we were privy to when we were coming
But look
through.
look how our ancestors went to school, went to Harvard, all of these accomplishments that they made, and they didn't really need their books. The whites needed the books in order to qualify us.
Yeah.
We didn't need their books. We brought that brilliance and that drive with us.
Yes.
And I think the only thing we did really have is our Bibles.
Yeah. Well, there again, I remember Pastor, I think Sunday, talked about how they even took messed around with our Bibles.
Oh, absolutely.
How they took all the necessary, at the very beginning, all the necessary information that would make us know that we were slaves, they took them away from the Bible. So they have done a lot of messing with a lot of stuff that we don't even recognize now.
Yeah.
But I think it's coming to light
Absolutely.
now. It's coming to light, in addition to my books, obviously, there are all kinds of books. Dr. DeGraw, I quote often, post-traumatic slave syndrome. That's what we're suffering from, post-traumatic slave syndrome. When I make the, not suggestion, I kind of, it's a plea that our people, and not just any of us, because we can't just accuse any of us. That's just like me asking a stage 4 cancer person to come to some kind of meeting amongst other groups of people without bringing in the oncologists. You got to bring in the
specialists
that
understand and have studied. Right.
Exactly. But to the extent that we have to trust God that He is going to send those people in to us at some point.
And He will. And He will.
They
will come.
He will. But to the extent that we don't necessarily know that, we cannot be responsible for training a Clarence Thomas. I know he annoys me, but I don't know how to get to him.
Is there any help for him? Is there? No, really. Is there any hope for him?
I guarantee you, there's help even for a Clarence Thomas. It just, again, but what I will do, I'll define him or I'll compare him to a stage 4 cancer person.
Okay.
He may not have a whole long time, and then he may have longer. It depends. But that is who I compare him to. He has just been so affected by this racism and this whatever they have done over the years to brainwash us.
Right.
Mess with our brains.
Right.
And he's been so affected that he will take a whole lot to cure him.
Right.
But now there's a possibility he could be cured if we saw our situation. And that's why I always admonish our experts and our specialists. If we can see ourselves in the same vein as the other injuries, create institution, create places of study, create that kind of, what would you call it, where you go get your dissertation or where you go get degrees.
An institution where we could relearn what we need to and establish a new way.
Exactly, because see what happens
where the goats can get it.
Bring it where the goats can get it. Because first of all, we have been stripped. Now, once we understand that, unlike any other group, when we use the word slavery, that's why we got to be very careful. We have to almost ish that out of our vocabulary. One of the reasons with my documentary I will be talking about at some point, I'm talking about a new lexicon we should establish for ourselves. One from our lived experience. One that will explain what we are about.
I agree.
Because when we use someone else's language, then sometimes it doesn't get explained in the way that we need it.
To express it for our experience, our lived experiences.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it is.
That is excellent, and that is so necessary.
Yeah.
So tell us about your next book, because I want them to go in order.
Okay.
So I have
Now, that was my first book, Verbal Healing.
Right.
My second book was Victims of Confusion, self-explanatory, right? We are victims of confusion. We're definitely confused. No fault of ours. I'll continue to say that, so we won't make the misunderstanding or and understand me to say that that's who we are. We are not. I'm talking
Right.
about within that 400-year period
Right.
while we was over here and stripped of what we
Right.
were before
Within
we
the
came
framework
over here.
of that treatment that
400
we've
years.
got. Yes.
So victims of confusion, that's why we are confused. When you strip a person, great as we are, and we are exceptional, we are resilient,
Yes.
but we are not perfect.
Yes.
When you strip the person of what they stripped us of, our language, our religion,
Everything.
our culture,
Yes,
everything,
everything.
you strip that of us of that, you're going to have a result that you have with us. Some of us thinking one way and some of us thinking
Yes.
another way.
Yes. Yes.
We sometimes like to use the word, we are not monolithic.
Right.
Well, we don't even know
Right.
that maybe what we need to be is a little more
Yeah,
monolithic.
that's what we need to be. More,
Until we
more
have the
monolithic.
opportunity.
Yes.
We have never been given the opportunity to go someplace. I see really now as we speak. You see where the Republicans are creating a Republican convention, I think they call it. Something they never done before.
Right.
But they realize they need to come together.
Right,
And they
right.
made the statement that I'm trying to make with our people. They are going to come together. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to come away all thinking the same and
Right.
being monolithic.
Right, but at least
it
they're
means they
coming
have
to
a
the table.
consensus. They
Right.
will have a consensus.
Right.
We were never allowed a consensus. So when we use the word, we are not monolithic, we need to be careful because we are thinking in so many thousand different directions.
Yes.
That's why we can't get ourselves together. We need to be a little bit more monolithic in the way we think because if they allowed us to get together, and some of us have tried. What's his name?
Well, a few of
the
us
guy
have
who
tried.
had the ship line, Marcus Garvey.
Oh, Marcus
One of the
Garvey.
first.
Yeah, but he was
Yeah,
really early. He was
And
really
if
early.
we're truthful, the only group now that got any kind of consistency was the Nation of Islam.
I was getting ready to say
Yeah,
that.
the
Don't
Nation of
forget
Islam.
Elijah Muhammad.
Regardless of where you think
was
about
on
them
track.
or what you think, they are the only group that
Yes.
go together,
Yes.
get their thing together, and
Yes.
come back under a consensus.
Yeah, they were
That's-
so afraid of them.
Yeah, they're afraid of them. That's why they was afraid of them. And but that's what consensus means. That means that you have gone together,
One mind,
decided on what
one
you're
accord.
going to do, and
Yes.
one accord. We have not done that, and so that we never should use that word anymore. We are not monolithic. Yeah,
right. We should be. We should strive to be, monolithic. Right.
We should strive
Right.
to go and get a consensus. But since we haven't, we shouldn't take that be so proud in the fact that we are not monolithic.
Right.
Because what it implies to us, again, with the different lexicon, what that says to us is totally something different for someone else's understanding. You know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have to be aware of these things.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And then the third, that's the second book,
yes.
Victims of Confusion.
Right.
Now, my third book was the Quarters. That's the fiction.
Yeah, that's the
I
one
call
I
it a
love.
realistic fiction. That's the only fiction. I don't do fiction, but I thought that was necessary because the Quarters represented such a pivotal point in the lives of African people.
okay.
The Quarters sort of represented where you came to when you got out of what they call slavery, that shadow slavery.
Well, give us an example of what the quarters
The
were
quarter
like.
was a combination. If I'm going to give you an example, I'll use Peyton Place, but I don't want to
Okay.
go there.
Yeah.
It was a combination of a Peyton Place, but it was where our whole livelihood existed within the quarters. My father just never allowed his family to live in the quarters because it was sort of considered back in the day as you may consider what, quote, the ghetto.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But when I began to understand the quarters from my perspective, I understood because I knew people in the quarter. I wasn't allowed to go to the quarters.
Right.
Because they had the juke junk, they had the this, they had the
Right.
that.
Sounds like
But-
the Pioneer Home.
Well, but within that, they had good people.
Yes,
'Cause all
of
our
course.
people were
Of
there.
course. Right.
And I understood that. And one of the things I write about in the quarter with this matriarch, that was mine, well, wasn't mine, but was the grandmother of the village.
Okay.
she would talk about the quarters, but she would talk about it from the point of view of her coming out of Africa.
Okay.
See, she knew of a village concept,
Okay.
and she knew what they had done to us because she was from slavery.
Okay.
And she knew what they had done and how they had set us up in this quarter kind of thing to make us look like we were nothing or nobody. But we understood, and she understood, that within the quarters we had the queens, the kings, the ones that was, maybe drink every day, and the ones that was doing whatever other stuff that they did. But within that group we had our people. Just the people, So that's what the quarters was about.
Very interesting.
It's a very interesting book. I hope one day to make a movie from it.
Yeah, it sounds like it should be, because I think, I don't want to say every community, but every place where we dwell, where we dwelled as family unit, had its quarter.
Exactly. Had its quarter.
And while you're on that note about the quarters, okay, when did you come here? Because I want to know the change of perspective, if the perspective changed from being in the city.
Right. No, let me put it honestly. I came here hoping there was a different perspective, but when I got here, I was ready to say that the same place, the same people. It was just a little different in action. No, I came here 59, 60 from that time. And the interesting thing about that is I graduated from high school there, and I came up right after high school.
Okay.
But that was just prior to this so-called integration. And they were they're trying to continue the segregation, but they had to decide on a school down there. And what happened, they built us $1 million. Prior to that, we were bused. Up until that time, we were bused from our little country town to Alachua. I lived in Lake Butler. We were bused to Alachua. The last year of my graduation, I was taken from my class, which was so hurtful.
Wow.
They had built us $1 million edifice in Lake Butler to keep us from integration into their white school.
Wow.
Yeah, so I graduated from that school, Union County House School, and so I came up here. I came up here thinking that maybe there was going to be, and I guess if you be honest, it was a difference. But I came hurried right in the face of a segregation, because I came up to Elizabeth, but I understand there's a little town outside of Elizabeth, for those of you who know, Elmore, that you were not
that
allowed.
little white town.
Little white town. Elmore, and I'm saying to myself, really?
Yeah, that was supposed to be the high class end of Elizabeth. Yes.
Yeah, so, no, it's a down south and up south.
Yeah, right, really. Because people are people. We're dealing with a mindset.
With the mindset. You got to know that. Now, that was the third book. Now, my fifth book was,
that was your fourth book?
Yeah, that was my fourth book.
Okay.
The fifth book was that was my third book.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
My fourth book, Emotions to Live With.
Yes.
Let Go, Let God.
Yes.
Again, back in the day when I used to go to this little church and had a great pastor, and he was always trying to make sure us kids was doing the right thing. So when he would hear us making waves or arguing with each other, he would use the word "don't hate," the two words he would say, "don't hate" and "don't be jealous of each other." You know.
That's one of our problems.
It would always strike me as strange, because when I sat under his tutelage under him preaching his sermons, he would say, "God hates sin, and God is a jealous God." And as a youngster, that would confuse me. I'm saying, well, if he's teaching us not to hate, and why we're not even, I knew then we were not even as good as God. So if he's not as good as God and he has those qualities, something got to be wrong. So I thought about it all the way up until when I wrote this book, and that was when I became grown, very grown.
Right.
It came back to me. No, we all have these emotions.
Right, because we're little gods.
Yeah,
We're made in
yeah,
His image.
and we all have these emotions. Now, what
Right.
happens is my subtitle to that book is "Let Go, Let God,"
Right.
meaning that we as human beings know well we can't control these
Right,
emotions.
we
Then
have
got the
limitations. Right.
But no, don't deny that
Right.
we don't have these
Right.
emotions because we are
Right.
human beings with these
That is
emotions.
excellent because so many
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
overlook so many of those words
Yeah.
that are just the opposite
Just
of
the-
nonsensical. We
exactly.
need to have
Yeah.
another concordance of dictionary to explain that.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
because if you don't go to seminary, you
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to not only assimilate that,
Mhm.
but to even understand it on another level.
Right, exactly.
You know?
And that was what I told you, my fourth book.
Yeah.
And of course,
That my favorite. Why?
Emotions to live, let go, let God. That
Ode
was
to
that
the-
one. Now, the last book I did tell you about. Why
Oh,
shouldn't I cry over
right,
the black man?
yeah,
We talked
yeah,
about that one.
yeah.
That was
Yes.
my fifth one.
hmm
Okay. Now, the one that I just released, and it's like a little pocket size booklet that you can stick in your pocket because sometimes we need immediate answers to some immediate questions that come into us, you know. And so this book is sort of, it's a little small book, a compilation of how we are damaged and how, oh, I thought I brought one.
Is that not
How
it
we
sticking
are
out?
damaged. No, this is not it. How we are damaged goods made in America. And that is, and I explain that this way. If you have been stripped of all that you were, your language, your culture, your religion, your music, everything like that, something tells me you got to be a little damaged.
Mhm.
So, in this little booklet that I have put together, so you can stick it in your pocket, when you have those questions, because many times we say, well, why will this? Why will that? Read that book and it will explain to you
Why?
the depth of what have happened to us throughout our sojourn here in these Americas. And
Very
of
good.
course, the last two projects that I have going.
But we're going to get to that.
Okay.
I want to
okay,
talk about
okay.
the children's books because I love that book. and
Oh,
I think
yes,
that
yes,
there's
yes,
not
yes.
enough said about that book because it ties
Well, yes,
into
I didn't
what you
mention my
said about the
children book.
nonsensical things.
Right, exactly.
Knowing what a name is and
Yeah.
how to keep us in our names.
Yeah.
And
Well,
ode
that's
to
an
the-
interesting story how
Yes.
that came about.
It ties in.
What sent a name? My little nephew, that must have been in a 20-year kind of sojourn. He was like 8 or 9 at the time.
Mhm.
I had just come up. He lived in Virginia at the time, and he was the godson of my sister Rose. So she had him out. He and his sister, his little
Mhm.
sister, had him out to lunch one day, and so she asked him the question, "Well, how are you doing in school?" And he said, "Oh, good, I'm doing good." And the little sister said, "No, you're not."
I love it. I
And
love
he
it.
said, "Must you tell everything?"
I love it.
So it was so cute the way he said it.
Mhm.
So it began to germinate with me. I said, "Now that is something nice." When he says it all the time to his little sister, because his sister was a little tattler,
Mhm.
and he would say, "Must you tell everything?" So the book that I wrote is talking about what's in a name. Because I say in the book, which she didn't do, but this is what I'm trying to explain and
And it's
emphasize.
profound.
Yeah,
That's why I
profound.
want to
When she finally got to school herself, she thought her name was Must. He said, "Must you tell
Yeah,
everything?"
isn't that
So
something?
she heard the must so much that by the time she got to school, the teacher wanted to know what's her name. Mom dropped her off. Mom went on to work. When the mom came to pick her up, because the mom dropped her off and she went to the office. So when the mom came to pick her up in the classroom, she going looking for her child. The child was Chastity. And she went to know where Chastity, and the teacher said, "We don't have a Chastity here." And the mom was petrified. She said, "What? I did drop my child off at the car, you know."
I
Teacher
love
said,
it.
"We don't." By that time, Chastity must have heard her mom, so she came out of wherever she was. And her mom said, "There's my child." The teacher said, "That's not Chat." She said her name was Must.
I love it. I love it. But
So-
that's what same thing that they do to us.
Yeah,
over
that
the
same
over the
thing,
generations.
Over the generation. That's why we can use that N word and think it's a word of endearment because we've heard it so much.
It's
and
so profound.
it's so profound. So that's the essence of that book. What's in a name? Must you tell everything?
Right.
So at the time, you begin to think you're one of them ends, you know, and you start acting like an end.
That's right.
But that is not who we are. That is not who we are.
That's why it's important to teach our children who they are,
Yeah.
what their names mean, and give them names.
Yeah. Yeah,
Give
that
them
represent who we are.
exactly the rich culture that they came from.
One of the things that I'll talk about that memoir later once we see our people, if we want to bring
Oh,
people
okay.
on.
Yes, you're going to have to help me with this.
Norm, if you could bring up
Engineer, could we see our villagers that tuned in today? Wow, yeah, Sheila Bird, glad to see you. And there's Robert Cavistock. Yep, could you read that?
Okay, Joy Jackson.
Yes,
okay,
yes,
Askia,
yes.
Lloyd Shivers, Rashida Johnson.
Yes.
I am so pleased and proud that
Lloyd Shivers.
probably can't hear me. I'm away from the mic. See, I'm not used to
She's naming
being
you
on
down.
this side. I'm naming you down, and I'm just so pleased and proud that you're here. And I want y'all to continue to support us, and you do the like and whatever else, share and all that good stuff that you can bring other people on.
Yeah,
we just traded places around here.
Yes,
and I forget to stay into the mic.
Yes,
but I hope that you all can hear me well. Well, we're pleased to see you all, and you all just keep tuning in. I tell you, bring your friends. Oh, the one thing that I got to always stress, and particularly in these times, we're into the voting season. It's a must that we vote, not just we ourselves, but let us get 10, 12, 13 other people to go with us. Guess what? There's so much stuff going on in our communities today. I don't know if you all have heard about all the lynching that have been going on.
Yes.
And now, on top of that, even across the water, we have suicides in our people. I'm just assuming the young man.
Alleged suicide.
Alleged suicide. I'm just assuming he would have all right to with what they have done to him over there in England.
Yeah, we can
that
understand.
Cambridge situation.
Yeah.
I know you all heard about the young man who was the one, I think the youngest
I didn't get all the details
was
with
the
that.
youngest professor in that Cambridge University.
Okay.
And they bullied him out because they claim he was plagiarized. Now, if that even is the case, and they found out now that that's not true. I heard the last thing I heard that was
Of course it wasn't.
But even if he did, they're the most plagiarizing people in the world and stole everything that they ever got.
Yes.
So how can they even do that? And they've named a couple. I had the names here. I don't see them now. Had a couple of white professors, as we speak, on the Cambridge campus that was accused of plagiarism, but they're still here. They're still there.
Well, that sounds like a lawsuit to me.
Yeah. But they have that's what they call it. Lynched the man. They have lynched him because regardless of whether he took his life or not, it was from that treatment of him over those years.
I never heard the outcome.
Yeah, no, it was terrible, and I think it's not going away just as soon as they would expect.
We have got to really come together and rise up.
And that, I said all that to say we really got to vote.
Yes.
It's imperative that we vote.
We got to get them out of there. We got to get them out of there. Matter of fact, I'm going to get some T-shirts made.
Yeah.
They got to go.
Got to go. It's all across the country now, and what the American does, other folks think they can do it and get away with it too.
Yes.
It just goes to show you. So you're not safe. You get one, they come at one, they will get you next.
Right.
Because that's just as simple as that. Like with our Haitian brothers and sisters, we have to be very concerned about what they're doing to them.
Yes.
Because anybody can be a Haitian. I can go out here tomorrow. I'm a black, ain't I?
Right.
So how would they know who I am?
Right.
You know, so we can't even think about being comfortable just because we think we know we are American, because they wouldn't care who you are as long as you were black skin.
Exactly.
They can ruin your life until it's not such a thing as you have any rights anymore. So they can take you, pretend they think you are someone that they know you're not.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you go to? Mm-hmm. You don't have anyone.
Because there's no justice.
There's no justice.
You know, as Richard Pryor said, we go to the institution of law looking for justice, and there's nobody there, just us. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So we have to take these things into our own hands.
Take them into our own hands. Yeah.
So now, tell us about. Time is running out. There's so much I wanted to ask you, but at least tell us about your projects going on now, because
my
I know
project's
one's a
going
bio,
forward.
right? You're doing
Yeah.
autobiography.
Yeah, and it's timely.
Yes.
It should have been out last month.
Mhm.
I told my producer it's not a matter. I'm on top of him now because both these are timely projects.
Mhm.
The memoir
Mhm.
is talking about it's a memoir to my son.
Mhm. Yes, I
my
remember you mentioned.
youngest son who made his transition
Mhm.
4 years ago,
Mhm.
but by extension, it for all black sons, all African sons who going through anything like what they're going through now, to let them know who we think they are.
Mhm.
So the title of my memoir is going to be the African son born beneath the celestial sun.
Mhm.
Because I got that from when I was in Africa some years back. I had taken my boys, in particular the one who made his transition. I
Mhm.
took them all.
Mhm.
But I'm speaking of him specifically. When I got into Africa, when we deplaned, it was between Spain on the one end and Africa on the other.
Mhm.
The sun just shone so brightly. I had never seen a sun. Now, obviously, I've seen a lot of suns, but I had never seen a sun shining so brightly. So I didn't think of it again until when my son made his transition,
Mhm.
and I thought about how similar that sun reminded me of the African suns.
Mm.
They shine so brightly.
Yeah, it's a different. It's a big
they
difference.
shine so brightly, and then the system just dimmed them.
Mhm.
Just dimmed
Mhm.
them. So I'm writing about that. It's an excellent book, and when I finish, I know it's going to be such that we going to make it a bestseller because we're going to have all our people get one. Every black man in this country needs one in his hand.
Mhm.
Needs one in his hand because it's a tribute to them, and they need that. The documentary, of course, is important because it speaks of the aim of my show is restoration.
Mhm.
As I said, we've been diagnosed. We know that the years under slavery, the words, I don't even like to use the word, ma'afa is the word that Dr. Anna coined to describe what we went through, because it wasn't slavery.
Right.
You know, it was chattel slavery in that we were never going to be free. But in terms of the treatment, it was ma'afa, that's a key Swahili word meaning the worst of worst. Now, and I coined the term African slave virus 401 because I want to make the comparison of a virus. And if you have a virus and don't have it tended to, there's a whole lot of stuff that's still going on around you. And same with what we need tending to. So the documentary is about restoration, not just diagnosis, restoring us to our original selves, and it's sort of a three-part documentary. The first is to talk about the African elders. And you notice I say African elders.
Mm-hmm.
It's a distinction. It's a difference between us and other elders.
Absolutely.
Other elders sort of go through life, organically. They just sort of move through. We have been so interrupted, disrupted, everything about it, that we are not the same as other elders. What we came away with is lived experiences,
yes,
wisdom,
yes,
historical knowledge,
preach,
the whole 9 yards. So you don't need to throw us in a corner somewhere.
Yes.
Tell us to sit back and rock.
Yes.
While we need to, we want to rock with our youngsters, our grands. But we got so much going on that if we cut the ties between us and the young folk,
yes,
we'll go back to the mistakes
Who's
that we
gonna
made.
teach them?
Exactly. So
Pave
we need
the
to
way.
stay together.
Yes.
We don't ever need to separate ourselves as other groups do.
Yes.
Because we need what the elders know to keep the young people moving in the right direction.
Right.
Otherwise, they'll fall off a cliff going through some stuff they don't have to go through if they knew
right.
what we
and
went
that's
through.
what wisdom is all about.
That's what wisdom is all
Yes.
about. Now, the second thing is the lexicon I was telling you about.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm suggesting in the documentary is we need to consider seriously about creating a new set of words, lexicon, not trying to say get rid of
What's already
what is
there?
here,
Yeah, yeah.
but supplementary to what's here for us, because we come from a different perspective. Our lived experience need different definitions.
Yes,
Because if I
absolutely.
say hate, you immediately think of the same kind of hate they put upon us when they
Right,
enslaved us.
right, right.
Well, if we want to get out from them and say, well, you can't call that hate. So we have to learn how to find words that will totally describe who we are,
Right.
you know. And the third part of the documentary, of course, is the restoration. We got to figure out a way that we can get groups together, the experts and the specialists together, the same as we would get oncologists or get cardiologists or any other group of people who study a particular disease, get them together under the umbrella
Right.
of Africanology, so
Right.
they will know how to go about retraining us, the
Right.
Clarence Thomases of the world, the Candace Owens of the world, even some of our best, well-meaning people. I often use the example of our president, former President Obama, who we all love greatly.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of young black men was a little bit offended when he implied that they was responsible for their own action.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't blame the white man.
Yeah, he wanted them to be accountable.
But accountable.
They
But he, unlike he like me, he's an amateur in this area.
right. He didn't
He
say
may
it
be
properly.
a Harvard graduate.
Right.
He may be the president of the United States. Does not mean that he has a study
Right.
totally in the area of Africanism.
Right.
So once we understand that, we won't look at any one of us and just blame, and won't even try to put it on any one of us to cure it.
Right.
How can I cure something I haven't studied and haven't
Right.
trained for?
Right.
We need our spiritual people who study in Africanism. We need our psychologists who study in Africanism. We need our historians who study in Africanism. 3 or 4 of those groups together can come up with the same kind of thing the oncologists come up with. A cure for what ails us.
Right.
Or attempt to cure
Because
for what
they have
ails
the expertise today and
Exactly.
the experience.
experience. But that's what that is about. Okay, I see that our time is just about
Wow,
winding
I
down.
tell you,
Not
I
yet.
tell you.
But if we can bring our people up one more time so we can say bye and adios to them.
Wow, time is going.
Okay, so Joy Jackson out of I'm away from my phone. You can read it. I
Um,
forgot you don't have your glasses.
Yeah,
Let me see who's that. Joy Jackson from California. That's Askia Muhammad, my grandchild. That's Joy Jackson. There's Askia. There's Lloyd Cyrus. There's Rashida. There's Juanita McCurl. There's Robert Cabbage.
Yeah.
Bring it up a little bit. Okay, that's good. Sheila Bird. Okay. Okay. Well, we appreciate y'all. Thank you all so
Yes,
much.
yes, yes.
Askia, yeah. As there are people who will tell me later on, well, I was here. You didn't read me, but I'm reading the ones I see.
yes, yeah.
Okay,
And I
but-
don't have my glasses, so you can't rely on me today.
Well,
but
we-
I tell you, it's been a great show.
Well, thank you.
I
Thank
would,
you,
and
man.
I wish we had more time. We're gonna have to
do
switch
it
seats
again.
again because
We'll
there's
do
just
it
more
again.
I want to know,
Okay, we'll
and
do
I'm
it
sure
again.
we all do want to
Yeah.
know.
And for my villagers, let me see. Do we have a minute or two? We have 1 minute left, and we're going to say to you all again, please think about the voting. That is the topic of the day.
Yes, yes.
If you could take at least some of your votes, 10 of your votes, to go to the poll.
Mhm.
We can't miss it this time.
Mhm.
We can't take
It's a
chances.
must.
It's a must.
It's imperative.
Imperative, and we want to think about our future
Yes.
generations of people.
Yes.
We got to leave something better for them than what we have now.
Right. We're not just voting too. We're on a mission.
On a mission.
We're on a mission. This thing is really serious.
Yes.
And if you're not even thinking about yourself, think about your children.
Yes.
What kind of world we're leaving?
And
for
we
them.
know our villagers are going to go out and vote. So we
Yes.
know you all. We're not
Yes.
talking, but we ask you
Your
all
friends.
to go get these friends and people who may
Neighbors.
have
Yes.
a reservation
Yes.
about what to do.
Yes.
Just make sure you let them know that we're
Yes.
dependent. And we'll be looking for you all next week, please.
Yes. Yes.
Take care.
Take
God
care.
bless.
We need our engineer.
We were trying to see. We were trying 3 or 4 things at once.